Hello and welcome to another episode of Every Second Counts with Matt and Tom. Tonight we have with us Barbara Sim. Matt, what's up? How are you tonight?
Good, and you, brother?
I'm doing outstanding. Barbara, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm in the air conditioning, so I'm happy.
Wh- wh- where are you currently at?
I'm at my
Where are you currently
sister's
at
in
now?
Virginia. My sister's house in Virginia, like Williamsburg area.
Is it getting
I'm on
cool
a
there?
little
Okay, so where you
no.
been traveling around?
When I left Alaska, I went to Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, Philadelphia, and then here.
Putting in the miles,
Yeah.
and that was all on tour, doing gigs and stuff,
No.
or
I mean, I was playing music, and traveling. I try to mix up van life with music and travel and just exploring. But I spent the
got it.
summer in Alaska um, for a bunch of different stuff, and then I just made my way back. I was in Nebraska for the Hero Stock event, which was amazing. And then is Tom frozen, or is that just?
That or you went psycho on us.
I was like, that's just he's angry.
Yeah, that's where you met Tom, right?
Yeah, there he
Yeah.
is.
There. Man, you look like
Oh,
what?
no, you have no idea what I've just been going through. I only could hear certain words and I couldn't see
Yeah.
anything. But we're back with it. But
Yeah.
so how are you traveling around?
I'm traveling around in my camper van that I self converted last year, 2022. What year is it? It's 2023. Yeah. So I was living in South Carolina right after COVID. When COVID hit, I lost my job in Colorado and all my gigs got canceled. So I moved back to South Carolina, and then I was doing a little beer tending here and there, which I hated. And so I just said, you know what, it's now or never. I've been dreaming about van life for the longest time because I'm a natural kind of wanderer. I move like almost every year, like my whole life, or at least since I got out of high school. And it just made sense to me to travel and get like an RV. And I did all my research and I decided on the van because I know that I'm a bad driver and then I couldn't handle a big old truck. So I felt more comfortable in the smallest van I could find, but still big enough where I didn't feel claustrophobic. But I traded in my Jeep for an empty van and I drove it down to Alabama to my aunt's house. And I spent 4 months building it out. I learned how to work all the tools and I did all the research on YouTube, and I got some help from a Army veteran up in West Virginia who helped me with some of the bodywork and electrical stuff. His name's Logan, and he is with Mountaineer Van Works up in West Virginia. If y'all need any van work help, he's your man.
So what kind of van
Um,
is it?
it is a
Like,
Ram ProMaster 1500 136 wheelbase high roof.
okay, no
Yeah.
specific on us. I thought you were gonna say like an old 15-pack rifle range van or something.
No,
No,
it
she
was
broke
brand
it
new when
down.
I got it, 2021.
There you go.
I know I'm not mechanically inclined, so I didn't want to have to worry about some old I had to fix up all the time.
Right.
So I went with a brand new Ram, and I did research, and I know the like the Sprinters and stuff are really nice, but they're more expensive, and the Mercedes chassis is like just more expensive to upkeep and things like that.
Right.
So I just felt more comfortable with the Ram, the
There you
I'm
Dodge.
go.
I'm I'm more of that 92 Universal van life, you know what I mean? With the
Astro van.
VCR, you know what I'm saying? That's
I looked at
that's the
those like
van life.
VWs, but I can't drive stick, so failure on my part.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
So
so you're
it's
travel
fully rigged out with water, toiletry, shower. I mean, all that.
Yeah, it's the most basic build I could manage on my own. It's got a 30-gallon freshwater tank with a water pump. I had a silencer on it, but it had a leak and I haven't replaced it yet, so it's kind of a loud water pump, but it does pump the
But it
water to my
works.
sink. It works. Yeah, and I have like a little hobbit shower. There's no hot water um because I I failed at wiring my 120 volt outlets. I tried to plug
You
in
don't
my
need it. You don't need it. You're
I'm
electric.
laughing off a Hobbit
I don't
shower.
need hot water. I thought that I would die without hot water, and you know what? It's actually refreshing. It's like a little bird bath. It's not really like when I shower in the van, it's like I've been in the woods for a week and I just need to get the filth off. So when I take a real shower, it's at like a Planet Fitness or a campground or like a friend's or family's house, things like that.
Got
But
it.
when I'm like in the wilderness and I have no other option, my little hobbit shower is nice.
I'm just blown away. Just her explaining the water pump had me kind of thinking life choices. Like I couldn't do that.
But
Yeah,
you could.
Tom doesn't operate a flat tip screwdriver. You
You know what?
know,
When I started, I didn't even know how to work an electrical screwdriver. I kept holding the front of it and the bit kept falling out and I couldn't figure out why. It's because I was holding the front of the screwdriver. So, hey, Betsy. She's awesome. I just got her books in the mail yesterday. Ah,
Did you
Eric.
start them yet?
I have read one page and then I had to go to dinner with my family.
That's how I
excited to read.
usually get down.
I get really distracted easily, but
I'm
I'm
a one
excited.
page of sleep. That's it.
Yeah.
I have to do audio. If I start my eyes start, I'm out.
Yeah. I listen to a
I
lot of
always feel like that.
audiobooks and podcasts while I'm driving. So I'm excited. I was really excited to get into this podcast community because when I'm driving long, long hours, like I got really into Morbid podcast. Those girls are awesome. I love true crime and spooky stuff. So they're really fun to watch too, but sometimes you just want to mix it up. So I've been trying to like delve into different types of podcasts. And it's fun too, because sometimes when you're out on the road, you get a little lonely. So when you have podcasts going, it's kind of like you're not in the van alone, you know, you got conversation going.
Right.
I think
I used to be
that's
into
kind of changed.
Joe. Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. We were saying the same thing.
Yeah,
It's more
I used
it's
to be
like the
into Joe
go-to
Rogan
now.
and all that. Now I'm like, yeah. Now I'm like value entertainment. Have you ever seen that? With Patrick
Value?
McDavid. Yeah, it's
Mm-mm.
value entertainment, and he's an army vet, and then he got out, and then he started an insurance company, and he sold. I think he sold his company for like 250 million or something like that. And
Good.
now he's in. I mean, he interviews like Kobe Bryant. He interviews mobsters, just a whole plethora of different people on the platform, and it is like high quality and very, very informative.
Sorry, I like how you went from Kobe Bryant, mobsters.
Yeah, it's just a whole array of different people. You just never know. I mean, it's pretty cool. You ought to try it out. It's
I
just
love it.
value entertainment.
I'll look it up. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always down for new, which I have a whole plethora of new content to listen to with all these amazing podcasters. So I've done
There's a
like
lot out there.
this is my fifth interview with the podcast so far, and I'm just having fun. One, because it's practice. Like I really want to learn to tell my story because I feel like I hid for so long, you know, just out of shame or, you know, whatever you want to call it. But I'm learning the more and more that I share my story with people, the more connected I become, and the more I realize that my story is very similar to a lot of people's, and that by sharing with each other, we like kind of feel less alone. So it's hard, but
Right.
it's important. So I'm loving this opportunity. So thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you were in the Marine Corps. You said
Yes.
that earlier. Let's tackle that monster right now. You did you join right out of high school?
No, my when I was in high school, I was in a small town and we grew up pretty poor, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So it was kind of my best way out to get out of get out of town, get away from my situation. I love my family, but that was not about where I grew up. No offense if you're listening. But yeah, so
Thanksgiving's
I
gonna be
actually
interesting.
I
Thanksgiving's about to be
joined the
real
National
interesting.
Guard. No, I was ready to get out of the small town. I wanted to travel and explore. Like I've always had that, you know, wandering spirit. And when I was in high school, it's the longest I'd lived anywhere. So I was ready to explore and I want to get out of there. And I joined Army National Guard first because my older sister had joined and I did split op. So I did boot the summer between my junior and senior year of high school. Um, and then like during my senior year, I was doing my drill on the weekends. But then I got a general discharge because I missed my AIT date. I hurt my knee or something and I couldn't go to AIT in time. You have to be like fully trained within a year. So I got a general discharge and then a year later, I decided to join the Marine Corps, which is a whole nother story. Man,
Well, let's hear it.
I know
Well,
there's
hold
so
on.
much.
Let's not just creep over that one. You see, me and Matt, we worked together in the Philadelphia recruiting office
Yeah,
for the Marines. So
yeah,
we used to see these people when we used to go take them to take that test.
yeah.
And we would see them, and I'll tell you what, the National Guard in Pennsylvania was raking them in because of that program being able to put them in their junior year and then let them
Mhm.
drill like that. I mean, selling it is easy.
Yeah.
However, I
It
mean,
was
go ahead.
um it was my junior year of high school in 2001. So 9/11 happened. I was sitting in history class. I had just turned 17 that year and I was able to join the military. And so I joined and I remember going to boot camp. And I was the youngest one in my platoon. I was 17, like barely. And I remember the drill sergeants talking about how you guys joined they were like really proud of us for joining during where war was about to happen, right? And I remember thinking, oh crap, I didn't think about that. Because like I knew it was happening, but I was so dead set on like getting out of where I was. Um, and then it's like you look back and you're like, but you joined the guard. So what were you really thinking? Like you're
Right.
not going anywhere. You're in the guard. So
It sounded good.
I didn't have anything figured out. All right, I was 17.
Yeah, they used to tell us, right, Matt? They used to tell us, I'm ready to do something with my life and come back
Right.
after 9 months and
And
just
then,
live here.
yeah, I'm ready to do
Yeah,
something to
well,
come back and hit a 8 on their freaking practice ASVAB.
I
Like,
didn't really get them.
So why the
But you're
the
Marine
both
Corps?
you're
struggle
both
was real.
recruiters. Yeah,
Hmm?
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah. So
he
when
was
I got
actually my
out of
boss for a little while.
oh
No,
nice.
I stayed and became a career recruiter. Matt went and lived the Marine Corps life.
The
I
Where
played
was
some of the
life.
game.
I
Mhm.
mean, we all have our role to play, so
Yeah,
So someone has to do something.
that's
that's
right.
right.
So what
So
what
what did you
made you
do?
go from
Sorry, you guys blurred together there.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, what did you do? Like when you enlisted, what was your job field and all that?
When I joined the Marine Corps, I was logistics. So I had gotten out of high school and I went down to Florida. Um, there's a whole nother story in that year between when I got out and when I joined the Marine Corps, or when I graduated and when I joined the Marine Corps. I was sent down there for a job that I thought was working for a magazine, and it ended up being door to door sales, and it was like this really shady, like scam. We'll just call it a scam. I got swiped up into a scam, and the guy who was running it,
like the Kirby people?
yeah, the guy who was running it was real shady. He was on cocaine. I found out later, and he was always drunk, and he would always like corner me, um, and like it's a lot of sexual harassment. And I remember thinking, I'm going to earn enough to get a bus ticket to my mom's, and she lived in Florida with my grandpa, and so that was my goal. I was going to do that for as long as I needed to get back, and then I wanted to join the military because I just knew I wanted to be in the military. But that sales, the magazine stuff, I ended up being at a bar in Florida, and that boss, I don't even remember his name, trauma, guys. But he had spiked one of my drinks. I literally had one drink at the bar, and I felt really weird, so I went up to get in the elevator and go back to my room because we stayed in hotel rooms. That's just how shady it was. Bunch of teenagers with adult bosses staying in hotel rooms, just traveling.
Hold on. And what were you selling again?
Magazines. We were supposed to go door to door sales with magazines and pretend like we were trying to sell magazines for
So you just had like order sheets and hopes and
yeah,
dreams for them?
yeah, exactly. We were supposed to pretend like we were high school seniors trying to get to our senior cruise selling magazines, but we were pocketing the money.
Right.
It was a scam. And as soon as I discovered that, I was like, all right, I'm going to earn enough money until I can get out of here. But I ended up getting abducted off the elevator by 2 men that night and assaulted. And then the very next week, I didn't tell anybody about that. They literally, I don't know how much detail y'all want on this show, but they left me in that hotel room and just left. And so I got out of the room and I went back upstairs to my room and everybody's like, where were you? And I'm like, well, don't worry about it. Like, I didn't want anybody to know. I was so scared that I didn't want anybody to know. Make it make sense? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then the next week, that boss trapped me in another room at another hotel. And I remember looking at one of the guys and we like locked eyes and I was like this, and he pushed everybody out and like tried to push me on the bed. And I like got around him and went and locked myself in the bathroom. And I didn't get out of that bathroom until the police came. My friend ended up calling the police. The police came and knocked on the bathroom door and let me out. I told them what happened. The policeman, and I wish I could remember his name because thank you, sir, but he put a bus ticket back. And that's how I got out of that situation. And then literally, like, it was like 3 or 4 months later, I went to a Marine Corps recruiter. Well, first I went to Air Force. I wanted to go in Air Force. I wanted to be an aerospace physiologist and work for NASA, but they weren't taking prior service. And because I did National Guard for 2 years, I wasn't eligible. And they're like, well, you can wait a year. I'm like, no, I want in.
I got to go.
I was like, this isn't working. I'm not doing well in civilian life. I need to be around honorable people. Joke's on me. But I'm just kidding. There's good guys in the Marine Corps.
Why didn't you just go right back into the Army?
I didn't want to be in the Army. They left a bad taste in my mouth. I wanted to be in the Air Force. And I walked out of the Air Force office and there was a Marine smoking. And he said, are you joining the Air Force? I was like, no, they don't want me. He said, well, we'll take you. And I'm like, all right.
Sounds
And
legit.
I remember thinking at the time that I thought Marines were like all infantry. I didn't realize they had different MOSs. I was just kind of clueless back then. I was kind of
Right. When you're young, you didn't know.
I was young. You
don't know what you don't know.
From a small town. I was doing my best, but I was very naive and gullible too. So I just I wanted to be I wanted to be in the military. I didn't care how it happened. So I joined the Marine Corps and I went back through Marine Corps boot camp. And then when I graduated boot camp,
were your drill instructors as happy as the Army ones your second go through?
So it's so funny because the Army, they had co-ed. So I had a male and a female drill sergeant. And the woman was scary, but the man was kind of nice. He didn't really yell as much. He just laughed at us. But I remember thinking Army was harder physically because it's the first time I'd ever really had to push myself that hard physically. I mean, I was a cheerleader in high school. So that was, and then when I went through the Marine Corps boot camp, I already kind of had a sense of what boot camp was and how to push myself. So the physical part of it was actually pretty fun. But the mental stuff was a little harder. They messed with you a little bit more in the Marine Corps.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So after you joined, where'd you go? Oh, I don't even think you answered Matt's question. What MOS did you grab?
Oh, 0481 landing specialist. Yeah. I was a red patcher.
Right.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, Matt, look at you. You know that.
There you go. I was 3rd TSB in Okinawa, red patcher. So
yeah, my first choice was Intel. My second choice was public relations, and then my third choice was logistics, and I got logistics. Which I'm mad about. I really liked the physical. Like, I didn't want to be in an office. That's what I told them. Like, I want to be physically doing something. Like, I can't just sit in the office.
Yeah, there's a little bit of balance in that job field.
Yeah.
Where's the school on that?
Where's what?
Where's the school on that? The school?
Johnson, right? Uh, Is it Johnson or Geiger? No, MCT's at Geiger, and then I think the MOS school is at Johnson. That's in North Carolina.
And then you said Okinawa was your
Yeah, and
first
then
duty station?
I was sent to Okinawa. Yep. And as soon as I was checking into my unit, CLR3, LS platoon, my first sergeant said, are you ready to go to Iraq? And I was like, I mean, I don't have a choice. So like a month or two later,
Yeah.
we were in Fuji, at Mount Fuji training. So, and then in August we deployed to Iraq.
Where
I
were
think
you at
that's
over
a
there?
I was at Al Asad. I worked on the flight line at Al Asad, loading and unloading aircraft. And then I did 1 month. I volunteered for the Lioness Task Force. We were attached to 3 Marines. So when I first joined, I was one of 2 females. And when we got over there, you have to volunteer for Lioness. Like they can't force women to be in like combat
Right.
roles. So I remember I was kind of like nervous about it. And the other female, her name's Jennifer Parcell. I remember having a really good conversation. And she like kind of gave me that little bit of kick, the little courage to just go for it. And they couldn't take her because she just picked up corporal. So they needed a lance, and I was a lance corporal. So I went first. And my unit went down to Haklania. And then I was there in January. And then her group replaced my group. So we kind of switched over at Haditha Dam. And then she went down to Barwana. And she was actually killed by a suicide bomber in Barwana in February 7, 2007. So that was really rough. There was a lot of like guilt. Like I felt like she was really loved in our unit. She'd been there longer. She like went to school with a lot of the guys. She was about to be engaged to one of the guys. He was about to propose to her. So I remember talking to my sergeant, and he was such a turd, like not a turd, but he was very sexist, and he was always really mean to me. But during this time, he said exactly what I needed to hear. And he said, it didn't matter. Like, we would have missed you too. Like, he's like, it's not better or worse. He's like, it would have been bad either way. But there was just like that guilt. I was like, I felt like it would have hurt my unit less if it had been me. And he was like, well, it wouldn't hurt your family less. So you just can't it's just working through that guilt,
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I was in, did you ever go to TQ at all?
I didn't go there.
Al
I
Asad?
sent a lot of people there.
Yeah. That's what I was there in, let's see, February 05 to September-ish. We made a lot of that suicide bombers over there. So
Yeah.
luckily we only lost one, but I mean, one's too many.
Absolutely. And I think the one she was in, it took out a Sergeant Major Ellis and I think 8 Iraqi soldiers. And I actually met a guy who was there when it happened. I met him at a Marine Corps retreat in 2012, Justin, and he kind of gave me more clarity on everything that had happened. And it really cut him deep. And it always goes back to that conversation, do women belong in combat roles? I mean, I think there's pros and cons, as with most things, but he talked about how it really hit harder seeing her injured like that. And it kind of, he 2-3 lost a lot of guys out there, but he actually ended up killing himself in 2020. And so I had visited him.
Yeah, and I think like what you said, Barbara, was like, there's a lot of, I don't know, stigma on putting a woman in combat or not, because if you choose to say, well, no, we don't, just whatever reason, you're sexist, but people understand like a man's role has always been to protect her, so automatically when that hits, it's like for males, it's like, man, it should have been me. So I think that's a lot of it too, but I don't know. I know it's hard. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I guess I've gotten some hate from like feminists. I think the feminist movement has been kind of skewed into fighting against their own cause. But I think that I do believe in roles for men and women just because we are naturally kind of built towards certain roles. Not to say you can't, women deserve an opportunity, but if don't change the standards kind of thing.
Right.
But I do understand that, and just talking to a lot of men, they are very naturally protective of women, and so you just have to think like when you're in combat, it should always be about the mission, and so you have to decide whether having females in that unit would be like detrimental to the mission, or like have that conversation, I guess, with males like this is a Marine, like this isn't a female, but there's still that natural kind of protective. And he said it was just
Yeah.
it was like seeing his little sister, you know. So it
Right.
was just
Yeah, I think it's a hard situation to even think about in the world we live in now. How
mhm,
batshit crazy everything is, to where like you were explaining it, and I wasn't there, Matt wasn't there, but like in that moment as you explained it, it made sense because it's normal.
mhm,
You know what I mean? To me, it just seemed normal, but no matter what, it was still a Marine, getting killed, and I think that that's a problem that everyone deals with,
mhm.
is because when you're in that situation and in that environment, it's a family type environment.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When you're working with people, and I think that's on maybe w it's harder in the civilian sector because that's an emotional attachment that people don't talk about, that it's people you worked with. Some people you worked with, you wish you never worked with, you know what I mean? But there's those different connections you make that make it hard, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. And I will say, when I was with the Marines, with the 2-3 Marines, like the grunts treated me more like a Marine than guys in like my regular unit. And I don't know, I can't ever really explain that. I'm not going to try. But when I was out there in Hakonia, like doing that type of, I mean, it's life or death, right? So there's no time for bullshit. Like it's about the
Mhm.
mission. So you're a Marine, you're not a female or whatever. So that it was my
Right.
favorite time. It's like my favorite and my worst time, you know, like I don't know. I felt like an actual Marine out there, even with all the bad stuff. And so that's hard to say like women don't belong, but because there is that experience of we were treated as Marines. So it just depends on the unit, I guess, and the people and the mentality that they have about it.
It also depends on the female. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
me I mean, me and Matt, we were in the foxhole together in Philly, and there's some females that could wreck shop. There's a lot of females, especially when they got rid of the flex hang and it became pull-ups. There were some monster females coming in and
Yeah.
doing work and then excelling through the McMap, excelling. I mean, there's some badass females in the Marine Corps, so I
absolutely.
w I would have to say another branch, maybe, it maybe in the Army, I would say, or another branch that maybe a female got fapped out, to another position, but if you're there and you're in that position, you're there for a reason. You know what I mean? I don't think the Marine Corps is gonna put someone in that position if they shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
we know how that goes.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like
And
you're
it's
sending
hard.
them out for a bat to the chow hall.
Yeah. And you
I
can't
mean,
just
anybody can do that.
you can't just wrap one and like you can't be like all females or all males. Like it's always individualized too, based on the person's personality and temperament and character. So
That's right.
So where'd you go from there when you came home?
when I got out of the Marine Corps,
No, when you came back from Iraq.
oh, I went back to Okinawa. Um, and they sent me to K5. So I was on Kadena and I was there for about a year. And remember my sergeant, the guy that was nice to me very briefly. He wouldn't let me go on the Mew. He said that the boat was no place for a woman. So it's like the gender thing is always like kind of, you know, dancing around. And I was still trying to figure out like, you know, who I was and how to stand up for myself. And I'd had
Because you're
like
how old at that time? 20, 21?
21. Yeah. And I'd
Yeah.
had trauma up
Yeah.
to that point. And
Right.
so there's those self-esteem issues you deal with. And then I had multiple sexual harassments, incidences. Like I remember I was at a barracks one time and I was going up to the bathroom and these two guys started following me down the hallway. And one of my guys actually saw them. So he kind of intercepted, and he told me, "Get in the bathroom and don't leave until I tell you to." And he like took care of it. I don't know what he did, but he got him out of there. And then he came and got me out of the bathroom. So it's like those weird situations. And then I did get sexually assaulted by an Air Force veteran in Okinawa. And I'm not going to go into details, but I never told anybody about it because literally the month before that, another girl had reported rape, and I sat there listening to all the guys around me like, "Oh, she's just making it up. She's just embarrassed she got caught." Like nobody believed her, and it was just shame, shame, shame on her. And so when it happened to me, I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna put myself in that. Like, I don't want people
Right.
talking crap about me. I don't. One, you don't want people judging you or talking crap, and then the other, like you just want to put it behind you. You want to forget it happened. Like you don't
Yeah, I
want to deal.
think that position of being ostracized is horrible
Yeah,
because, like you said, you saw it before, and then it just seems like it gets ignored. But I think it's changed a lot since then with the UVAs. You would think, I would hope so now, but it's ridiculous. And with the world today, I couldn't even tell you how the hell they're doing things in boot camp because I heard they were already they were already on cross decks, males and females in the same um barracks, but I don't know if, yeah, I think they might be putting them in the same barracks soon. Like the
yeah,
same like how the army's doing it, I
yeah. I'm
think.
not
That's
sure.
going to be the wrong road to take.
Mhm.
Which is sad. You would think grown adults would know not to touch people without their permission. But
You're
I
sent. That's the
yeah,
problem.
yeah. Well, a
To
lot of the
keep it.
stories I heard from fellow female and male, not just females, male and females, was that especially in training, they were assaulted by like the staff NCOs or like the sergeants, like the people in charge, not just fellow
Right.
recruits or trainees. So that's a big issue too, because this is somebody that like is in charge of you graduating and in charge of like your training, and you're new to the fleet and you don't really know what's going on. You don't want to be a troublemaker or like cause problems. You just want to get done training and get to your unit, you know? So there's so many different factors. And then like a lot of times you do feel that shame and like you blame yourself. Like I'm so stupid. I should have known better. I should have done better. Like, how did this happen? So it's that internal battle and then that shame and fear and guilt. And you don't want to have that external battle. You don't want anybody to know. And I have personal experience because I actually um, had a home invasion and sexual assault in 2009, right after I'd gotten out of the military and when I was with my husband. And that was the first time that it happened that people actually knew and that I had to report it. Like I went to the police station, I went to the hospital, I had everything done. And that to me was harder to get through than just dealing with it on my own because everybody knew and everybody had their opinion about what happened and if they believed you or not. And so like your
Right.
entire character is like pulled apart and, you know, put under a microscope. And like every move you made, every like what were you doing? Why were you doing that? Like were you drinking? Like all these questions, you're just trying to like process what just happened to you. So it's
Yeah, I could yeah.
so yeah, I when I got out of the military, I was married to a fellow Marine. I shouldn't have married him. I knew I shouldn't have married him. I broke up with him like 6 times. But trauma brain, you know. I thought that nobody else would love me, so I just jumped on the first guy that said he did. Um, so we got married, and that ended very badly. And um, right, I got out in June, and that happened in September. He got out in October. We moved to Texas, and we stayed with his family. And I'm just like crying all the time. I'm not processing. Everybody is judging me. Um, he's telling me this doesn't happen to normal people. He asked me for a divorce 3 days after Christmas. I It crushes me like it was like the last straw from everything I'd been through. And I just turned into a straight up alcoholic. Like I left I left the first week of January. I went down to Florida, and I don't remember any of 2010. Like I drank it away. I remember
Mm.
last year on my van life, I went and visited my cousin in Oklahoma, and she um, was talking to me about when we visited in 2010 in Florida, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like showing me pictures. She's like, yeah, we were at this place and we were doing all this and we hung out for like 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't remember any of that. And I was like, was I drunk? She's like, you seemed completely sober to me. I'm like, I didn't remember it. And she showed me pictures and I still didn't remember it. So it's like that year was just gone. I was
No way.
struggling hard.
What part of Texas were y'all in?
He grew up in Friendswood. So Friendswood,
Okay.
Galveston area.
That's where I was born, in
Oh,
Baytown, which Friendswood was like 45 minutes
yeah.
away.
Well, I'm not going to say his name or talk trash about him because we were both young and it was a lot to deal with. And he didn't know about any of my previous issues. So he really didn't have the full information to
Well, I
judge
wouldn't
me.
know him. I would know him anyway. I was born there, but then I grew up in East Texas, about 3.5
Yeah.
hours away. So, but yeah.
Well,
So then, what year did you get out?
I got out in 2009.
In 2009, and then you
Mhm.
okay. So then you got divorced from him,
Mhm.
and then so where all this music come from? That has always
So
been a passion, or you found it after all this?
I've always loved singing, but I grew up like painfully shy. Like I would barely speak above a whisper growing up. If you speak to me, I turned red. Like I was socially awkward. Like I made myself join the cheerleading squad to force myself to be more outgoing. Um, and the only time I would sing was like with my mom and sisters. We'd sing like hymns around cleaning the house and stuff. And me and my sisters would like harmonize just for fun. It was just a happy place. Like that's how we connected. That's how we just, it just was part of who we were and what we did sometimes. We loved music. We were always playing music, especially like even today, I can't clean the house if there's not music playing. It's just, just something
Right.
we did growing up.
Get you in the zone.
Yeah, it just makes me happy. But no, I never sang like in front of anybody until I joined the Marine Corps, and then I started doing karaoke in Okinawa, and everybody's like, "Oh, you have such a good voice." I'm like, "Cool, cool, that's great. I like singing." But I started noticing that like it was my outlet, like all this energy would build up, and the only way I could get it out is by singing. And
Right.
if I didn't sing, I would get like cranky, like I would get irritable, I would get cranky, and then I would sing and I'd just feel better. And then when I got out, um, I kept doing drunk and karaoke, which was not a healthy avenue, but it was only my only outlet that I knew. Like it was how I released that pressure, I guess you could say. Um, and then I think it was 2015 that I'd had enough feedback from friends. Like there's a couple of karaoke contests I did when I lived in Missouri for a couple of years. And I actually, one of my friends, Harmony, she was a vocal coach and she would bring me around to some of her shows. And she's like, you could totally do this. I'm like, but I don't play an instrument. She's like, just use like backing tracks, like karaoke, but just get paid for it. And she was really supportive and she loved my voice. And I took a few lessons with her. And she actually ended up killing herself in 2014 because she was in a really abusive, 2015, she was in a really abusive marriage. But she was one of my biggest supporters that kind of helped push me towards the idea that maybe I could actually do it. Um, and then in 2015, I got these tattoos. And I was like, you know what? This is what brings you happiness. This is your joy. It became my lifeline. And I was like, just go for it and see what happens. So I didn't know how to play any instruments. And I just started Googling like music and veterans. And I found Creative Vets out in Nashville, Tennessee with Richard Casper. And I went out to Nashville for like 3 days and they connected me with like a songwriter and they teach you like how a song works and like the parts of it and how to write it. And you tell your story and you write a song about your story. We actually wrote a song um, about Jen with the lioness, and it was called Battle Cry. And I remember feeling like this is it. This is my healthy outlet. I can do this. And so 2 months later, I started hiking the Appalachian Trail. I had a Martin backpacker, and I hiked the Appalachian Trail from March to September of 2016. And I learned how to play while I hiked, and I wrote some of my first songs out there. And I can't claim official through hiker. I like kind of went here and there. Like I skipped, I did some Blue Blazes. I went up to different parts of Connecticut and Virginia and Vermont. But I used the trail to heal. I remember there was one day where I was just walking and I was talking to Parcell, I was talking to Harmony, I was just talking about loss and like goals in life because Parcell was like very goal oriented. She was going to college while she was in Iraq. Like she was doing something, you know? And so I just would talk about that. And it was just very healing. And then writing some of my first songs, I wrote about my ex-husband and my feelings towards that. I wrote about my first song was called Miracle Baby because I almost died when I was born and I almost killed my mom. And I just feel like I should have died a lot, many times over the course of my life. So I wrote about that. It's called Miracle Baby. And I've never played it live. Like I don't play it for people, but it was just part of that process of healing to write it. I just fell in love with that, you know, being able to put that into words and learning how to play guitar. And then I finished the trail, went back to South Carolina, and I was staying with my sister for a little bit, just kind of like regrouping, see what I wanted to do. And I ended up moving to Colorado in 2017 because I love the mountains. I fell in love with nature in the mountains. And I just wanted to keep exploring. So I got to Colorado. And like within a month, I got my first gig at a place called the Burns Pub in Broomfield, Colorado. And they kind of became like my like home base. I played there almost every month for like 4 years. I made so many friends there.
Like
And
a
they
full
just,
show or just
yeah.
like a couple? Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I skipped over in South Carolina. I did a couple open mics to actually play out in front of people. So I learned like 3 songs. I went to open mic. My first open mic, I got so nervous to get up on stage and actually like play. And I took 2 shots of whiskey and I ran to the
Beforehand.
bathroom and I threw up and then I got on stage. So it was a mess, but I did it and
And killed it.
I killed it. Everybody loved it.
So I got a question just to back it up. When you went to the Creative Vets and you
Hmm.
went through that 3-day process, were
Yeah.
you doing that in front of people that were there or just the people that worked there when you were practicing and singing your songs?
Yeah, so when I went through, they'd only been, I think it was like 2 or 3 years that they'd been a program. It's changed a lot since I went through, but when I went through, it was just me in the program. It was very like one-on-one. There was 2 professional songwriters and then Richard Casper, and we were the only people in the room. And so that
Is it
one of the writers was a female, one of them was an older gentleman, and I wish I could remember their names, but my memory is not reliable. Um, and then Richard. And so I just kind of like, we chatted, we talked about my story, we talked about what I wanted my song to be about. Um, and then they played the guitar. Like I didn't know how to play guitar yet. So they played the guitar and kind of, I had written some stuff about what I wanted to say. And then they helped me like make a song out of it.
Bridge the gap.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
Shit,
It's
I
a
want
pretty
to go.
amazing program and it's grown so much. I'm so proud of them. They've grown so much since I went in and I mean, they bring now when you go through, you get to go to like the Grand Ole Opry. And I've actually gone back as a mentor and got to like be with another veteran as she went through and just
you
kind
got
of,
that hookup still?
are you trying to go through? I know they have a really long wait list. So I will say that, but it's worth it if you can put your name on the list.
We're Marines, we cut all the lines.
Richard
No,
Casper, the Marine.
I got Taylor, she's coming down this month on her way down, and she's gonna drop me off a guitar that we spoke about. She's gonna teach me through, the
Us.
Guitars for Vets.
Yeah, I love her. She's amazing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's another vice for me. So that's why I was so excited to have you on and be able to hear it because I went on your website to see everything and what you had to offer, and I read about you going on the Appalachian Trail, and holy smokes, that's an epic experience just itself.
Yeah, for
Were
better or worse.
all now
Right.
you were all by yourself?
No, so I went with a group of veterans, and it was not my best experience socially. So I don't want to go into it. It was just not good connections. That's and I've talked about it with friends before, but just there's good groups of veterans and then there's toxic groups of veterans, and I've had experience with both, and I know I've been both through my own, issues, and so, um, it just wasn't the best experience, but I did make friends while I was on the trail, and I still talk to them, but I didn't finish the trail with that group. I got up to, I think it was Connecticut, and then I kinda went my own way and, finished the trail on my own with one other friend who was an Air Force veteran.
My friend just finished, him and his wife, and he graduated from Texas A&M, and he worked for some food company. He was one of the like the VP or what, very successful, put it that way.
Yeah.
Plenty of money, had everything. By looking at from him, he was like, "I've got my life in order." Well, him and his wife said, "We're just gonna do the trail." So they went and did the trail. And like I said, it took like 5 or 6 months to do.
Mhm.
But they literally did the trail, stop, whatever. And he said when he got through, it changed his life. He
Yeah.
quit his job. They sold their house. They scaled down. He said, my whole perspective of everything has changed in that 6 months, 5 to 6 months.
Yeah. It was life-changing for me. Just you get you get away from the noise of everyday life. You're in nature, and if you use that time correctly, which I did for the most part, I had my moments, but I I fell in love. I reconnected with God. I fell in love with nature, and I found, like, I tell people my secret recipe is God, nature, and music. Because when I had those 3 together, it was like this amazing healing moment. Like, a lot of my songs, I write about, my faith, or, like, it's very nature related.
Right.
And it's just, connecting with what you connect with, and trying. And that's why I tell veterans, I'm like, just because it works for me doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. Like, you gotta try out different programs and see what you really connect with. And I remember I beat it myself up for so long because I'd go through all these programs and I'm like, I'm really not connecting. I feel so out of place. Like, this isn't my scene. And um, I was like, something's wrong with me. But it wasn't until I went through Creative Vets and I like I connected the two communities of like music and like my passion of music and how that makes me feel with the veteran community and with faith and nature. And it was just, it's what works for me.
So, real quick, how was Hero Stock for you emotionally and connecting with other people maybe that you never met before and all that?
Yeah. So that was amazing. I was coming down from my summer in Alaska, which was a roller coaster of highs and lows emotionally. Um, I do get a little nervous still because I'm still deep down, I'm still that very timid, shy girl. So add whatever trauma and stuff that I'm still building. I mean, it's intimidating to be in a group of people that you don't really know. But for Hero Stock, it was just easy, and I don't know what it was about it, but I felt very connected. I felt very welcomed. I think that was a big thing. I didn't feel judged. I felt welcomed. I felt loved and supported. I know I had gotten to a point where I was like, I've been doing this music for 7 years and I'm not getting anywhere. And like, maybe it's just not meant for me. Maybe I'm just supposed to like sing to myself. Nobody wants to hear me. I was like, the self doubt demons were kind of in there. And I get to Hero Stock and it's like, people are telling me that like my voice is healing them. And I'm just like, really? Like it was just, people say you should believe in yourself, and absolutely, but sometimes you really do need that person that believes in you to kind of
Push.
push you and to remind you. Yeah. And that's what Hero Stock did for me. It was, I'm gonna get cried, guys. It was the reminder that I was where I was belonged and that I was on the right path and that I had something to offer. And so I don't know where music is going to take me. I've kind of adopted the mantra that I don't want to make it, I just want to make a difference. And shifting that focus, even that small bit, which could be small or big, however you want to look at it, but that's completely taken a lot of the pressure off and kind of helped me to enjoy it more, and kind of connect with people more because it's not about am I good enough, or um, that work mantra, which is important. Hard work gets you good places, but
But those are the best artists. Like I'm a music, I listen to all kind of different music, and then like you, like if I'm doing something, my wife, she's like, "Why do you always have your?" If I'm doing something, I've got music going, and um, it people like yourself that have that story, has been through certain situations, you put it in your music, and people listen to it, they can feel it. When people don't have those experiences and they're just trying to get a record label to sign them or whatever the case may be, you're a dime a dozen. And you've got people like yourself that have been through situations in life, experiences, and you put that down on paper and then you put it through words. People connect to that so easily. So, and I think for you, if you just continue doing what you're doing, and I want to hear you sing before we get off here too, if you have a guitar available. But
I'm
I
not just
know
happening.
Tom has said nothing but great things about you. But like I said,
Oh,
I mean, I think you're gonna continue to do great things. Like I said, as long as you believe in yourself, you've got the support of people, and even if you don't, as long as you believe in yourself, you continue pushing forward and putting everything that you've been through in a song. People connect to it. You don't have a thing to worry about.
and I continue to work on my craft because guitar playing does not come naturally. I have, and I hate using this as an excuse, but I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis this year, and sometimes when I play, like my joints are always on fire. I started a new medication this year, so it's been helping a little bit, but I get really frustrated when I'm playing and like my hand will stop working or it's really painful. But I've been talking to a few guitar teachers and just trying to learn like ways to like make it easier. Um,
Right.
but the guitar playing doesn't come naturally, and then like the songwriting, I feel like I'm still trying to find my voice in some way. Like the songs that I have out on Spotify, they're all kind of a little different. Um, but I
Son,
think
I'll
I'm
tell
getting
you
closer.
what, I gotta cut her off. Imma tell you what, she got a song called "Rev It Up,"
Oh well.
and it's a great song. It's an old song.
Hmm.
I guess it's an older song. It's not as new as the new one, but that song is fire. I was listening to it and I was like, "Oh smokes!" Like, and then when her new song, when did that come out? June?
Which one, the Long Way Home or
Long
the
Long Way Home.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
that was the
when
first
you
song that I felt like was like closer to what I was trying to say.
I heard that first, The Long Way Home, and then I listened to Rev It Up and I was like, "Holy smokes." It was a different it was wild. It was good, and to caveat off of kind of what or ducktail off of what Matt was saying, the whole you have a lot of life experience that I think you're fortunate enough to be where you are, to use that energy through your music to help heal other people.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, holy shit, I didn't I didn't expect, like, for someone that has to come and deal with constant thing every year, every couple years, and then they just come back up, and then go live in the woods for months, teach themselves how to play guitar, and then come out and just drop fire music. That's a unique individual. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, I'll be straight up, a lot of people would fold under that. That's a
Mhm.
lot of pressure to keep coming and going. But where do you get your influence as say for your music itself? Like other artists that you grew up listening to?
Yeah, so funny thing, I did not grow up listening to country music. Um I listened to like New Kids on the Block and Mariah Carey. And I mean, I did Garth Brooks. So yeah, Garth Brooks was pretty good. And Shania Twain. So I guess there was some country in there. But um, my aunt gave me this one record. It's Crystal Lewis. She's a Christian artist. And I think I sang her songs over and over and over for like 3 years. She was one of my favorites. So it was like kind of a mixed bag growing up. And I never really like thought of music as like a career. It was just always in my life and just something I enjoyed. Um, but then when I started doing like karaoke and stuff, I actually started singing Evanescence and Flyleaf and like Alanis Morissette. So I was like a little bit more rock when I started.
Hey,
And then
your voice was it was all over the place, those genres. No wonder
yeah,
you're like, I'm still trying to find my voice.
I love it all except for, well, I'm not a big metal fan. It seems so angry.
Yeah, me neither. Like, gives me a
But
headache immediately.
yeah,
Migraine, going to the VA.
yeah.
Refill, please.
I remember I sang "Strawberry Wine," and I actually won Akuma Idol in 2007 in Okinawa, Japan. It's like a karaoke contest in Akuma, and all my Marines were there, and they got up on stage, and they were standing behind me with, like, lighters and, like,
That's
swaying back and
cool.
forth, and I won an iPod Shuffle
Look at
with
you
Strawberry
killing
Wine,
it.
and I still love singing Strawberry Wine, and that's actually the first song I ever sang in front of my mom and sisters and my cousin that my mom got us a little karaoke box.
So what song are you gonna sing tonight? I can't take it anymore.
I don't know, I've been trying to write a song. It's called, "Steady on the Edge of Crazy." So it's not completed.
What's it called?
Steady on the Edge of Crazy. So it's something I've been, playing around with for a long time. Just steady on the edge has always kind of resonated with me because I often feel like I'm kind of on the edge. Like, I live a little bit more I don't wanna say dangerously. I live dangerously, that's so cheesy. But, I take risks and I push myself, and I often do feel like I'm kind of, like, just right there on the edge, but I feel steady, and I feel more and more steady. And it's that confidence that you build in yourself no matter, like, there's always gonna be struggles, there's always gonna be challenges, but it's finding that self-assurance and self-confidence and for me, my faith in God, it's that sense of feeling steady even when life's a little crazy. And so I've just been kind of playing around with that in my songs, but I don't know if I'm gonna sing that for you or not. What do you
Hey,
think?
Matt, I know what tag she picked.
Yeah, right. He's
What's
talking about
that?
your benefit tags on the desk.
Self-discipline, self-reliance,
From your recruiter. That's what he's
self-correction.
talking about.
Oh, I don't even remember. That's a long time ago, guys.
Yeah.
Well, trust me.
Well, yeah.
But yeah.
If you want, if it's not finished, just give us the hook on it. And I still want you to play "Rev It Up" though, at least a portion
I
of it.
can't play Rev It Up. So the story behind that song is I wrote it for a racing radio show contest with Operation Encore, and I wrote it using GarageBand loops. And then they brought me out to San Diego, and the Operation Encore studio musicians played it. And so I asked them to send me the chords because I didn't even know what chords it was in. I just used the loops and then sang over it. And I don't know how to play any of the chords.
Hold on. So
Well, I mean, you can always do
really-
acapella. I mean, whatever you want to do.
hold on,
Yeah.
but you
I
jumped.
play it. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just playing with
No,
you.
but you jumped over a whole thing. What happened with Operation Encore?
Oh,
How'd
yeah.
how'd you get involved with them?
In 2019, I heard about them. I don't know if I Googled or if I heard through a friend, but I sent in my audition, and you have to do like a little YouTube video audition, and they brought me on in 2020, and then COVID happened, so I didn't get to do anything with them. I was out in Colorado, and I didn't get to do anything with them. We just did a bunch of like, which they helped me through quarantine because we did like a lot of Zoom sessions with like lessons on songwriting and song structure, and they hooked us up with Soldiers Songs and Voices songwriting retreat that was online, and Vince Gill was a mentor on that, so I got to meet him like on the like
Did he
over
play in front of you?
on the computer. And he's like
Wonder what
one
you
of my
did.
all-time favorites. He's amazing.
Oh
and
my
he's so
gosh.
sweet. Yeah,
He'll
So-
make people look bad real quick.
yeah. He
Picking.
won't 'cause he's so kind.
Well, I'm talking just from his skill level. you
Oh
know.
yeah. He's very humble and sweet.
So what do they do? Are you still with them or
Yeah, so it's a nonprofit that helps veteran artists who are pursuing careers in music as music artists, and they take on a couple new artists every year. You have to audition, and then they do stuff like songwriting retreats, and they help you they help me record the songs I have recorded. They help me get recorded. Like, I haven't been able to afford my own, which that's going to change next year. I have plans in place. But yeah, so they help me with getting the songs recorded. They just connect you with different festivals and events to play for. Like, I just did the Vet Fest in Philadelphia, and they connected me with that. They helped me get my EPK together. It's the electronic press kit. And then they have a website. So like a
Wow.
vendor can go on that website and they like look through everybody's profiles and then they choose which artist they want to play for their venues and then they contact OE and then they tell us and we say yes or no. So it's just like
Do you
a little,
do you primarily stay in one area, or will you like wherever the van goes, you're going?
yeah. So my first year in van life, I've been doing van life for 17 months now. And like the first 6 to 10 months, I was just kind of wandering. Like I had a little bit of an idea, but I really wanted to go see a few like national parks. I went all the way up to Montana. I went to Glacier National Park, and I just would find gigs randomly along the way. Like I was in Whitefish, and I drove up to Polebridge, Montana, and I just showed up, and I was like, "Hey, can I play?" And they're like, "It just so happens that our artist first night canceled," and it was like the only spot for like the whole summer. And I just happened to show up randomly on that day, and he had canceled. So I just happened to have my stuff in my van, so I pulled out all my gear and I played a show at the Northern Lights
Nice.
Saloon. So it's like fun
Holy
little things like
smokes.
that.
Yeah.
But my goal moving forward is to be a little bit more
Structured.
personal. Yes, have a better plan and like plan ahead. So um,
Have you
I
ever
do
come
kind
to
of.
Texas?
I've been through Texas a few times. Yeah, I haven't played there yet, but I visited friends.
Okay.
So I just didn't plan ahead well enough. A lot of venues book like 2 to 3 months in advance, so I'm trying to be more um, mindful about planning ahead. And I do it in legs. Like I plan out my route in legs, and for my next leg, I plan to do for the fall, like all the way to the end of December. I'm going to be in Virginia, where I'm at now, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida. I'm aiming for Christmas in the Keys. And so I plan out that route and like kind of the basic time frame of where I'm going to be in each location. And then I contact vendors and I'm like, I'm going to be in your area. And I tell them like a little spiel of like who I am, what I'm doing. I'll be in your area during this time. Can I get a gig in more professional terminology?
Well, next
And
we need to exchange info because like my wife's sister's husband, he's a full-time DA agent, but he has a band and he
mhm.
plays. I mean, he's recorded in Nashville and stuff like that. But he's played at a couple places down here close to where we live, about 30 minutes. A lot of big artists have played there. But maybe we can exchange information, and next time you're coming next leg, if you're gonna end up down in this region, hit me up and maybe we can touch base with them. You can play down here.
Absolutely. See, that's my
So,
favorite part. Like I get most of my gigs by networking.
right.
Because people trust people that they trust, right? So word of mouth
That's
and
right.
networking gets you a lot of gigs. So yeah,
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. Yes, ma'am.
So what's the obligation with them? Is there an obligation with
With Operation Encore,
yeah.
you don't sign any like um, contracts or anything. Um,
You just wait for the email now, and then when you blow up, the emails just kind of go to the spam. That's
no,
what that's
no, I mean, I don't really know what there's really no obligation. They're just very supportive. They support their artists in the best way they can in whatever that form that takes. Like they've helped some artists with like music videos, and every artist on the roster is like different levels in their career and different goals in their music career. And so they just kind of meet you where you're at, and they help you kind of figure out where you're going and what you need help with. And it's very individualized for each artist.
Nice.
But
that's
they're amazing.
solid.
It's a good organization. Yeah.
That's solid. Now,
Yeah.
how was that internship? I want to hear you play, but I just wanted to jump back because I'm interested in that the creative vets. How was you said you went back for the internship? How
Yes,
was
that
that?
wasn't I didn't do that through Creative Vets. Operation Encore connected me to that, but you still have to like apply for it. They do 1 or 2 scholarships for veterans a year that you have to apply for, and then you can also use your GI Bill, which I ended up using my GI Bill because I had a little bit left of it, which it ended up going to crap, and I still owe them money. That's a whole nother story because the VA is wonderful. And so yeah, that was cool. It was like 4 months. You go out to the West Barn studio with Joe West, and I have no desire to be a producer, but I wanted to be more competent in the studio as an artist. So that was
Mhm.
my whole goal going through it was just like, what does all this do? Like,
Right.
how do I make things go smoother as an artist in the studio instead of just standing there like an idiot, like, what mic? Where?
Yeah, it makes a
So,
lot of sense knowing what all those buttons and knobs do.
yeah. And just being able to like better communicate to help with the flow of your studio session. So yeah, that was my goal. And
Right.
then a lot of people that go through it, they want to produce their own music or produce for other people. Um, I kind of looked into that, but I quickly realized that it's not my strength. I'm not very good at producing.
Well, it's like when people. It's kind of like me, for example. So I'm an outdoorsy type, and then
Mhm.
I was like, had a job offer on this project management position, and I was like, get in there. I'm stuck behind a computer all day. I was like, yeah, I could do it, but I was miserable. And somebody like
Yeah,
you that likes to be a free body and float around, you get behind the studio, you'd probably drive you
my
crazy.
eyes go crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't have any hair left. So, well, let her play, Tom. Let me hear it.
All
Go
right.
ahead. I don't want to interrupt anymore.
Ooh. I hope that wasn't very loud on the thing. Just took a drink of water.
What was that, whiskey?
No, I'm not drinking any alcohol tonight.
Oh, okay.
I was just drinking some sparkling water.
You got to clean the pipes out, make sure they're
So
good for
is
you.
this the song that you were talking about? That you're
Yeah, this is
working
what
on?
I'll just do. It's just like a couple verses. So it's not done. It's just kind of what I'm working on. And I like just because of what we've been talking about today, just the struggle and like
Right.
putting things into words. So that's why I wanted to share this. And then I'll play a little something of one that's actually completed.
Okay.
I like putting myself in challenging situations where I'm nervous about sharing something nobody's heard yet.
Yeah,
And it's
we're
going to be
Don't
excited
need to be
for
recorded.
it.
nervous. Don't be nervous.
I mess it up if I get over. And the chords and the words could change after I play this, so we'll just see what happens.
So that's what would happen if I did it.
The beauty of writing your own songs, if you don't like it, you just change it.
That's right.
I live my life on the edge of crazy, never knowing when to stop, fighting my way through the haze, on the verge of going off. You never know, my mind was raging. I'm steady on the edge of it all. Well, that was not how that goes.
We wouldn't know.
I know. It's fine. Of all the moments that have made me, I try so hard to forget them all. But it's the memories that save me. 'Cause out of spite, I keep marching on. It's a fine line between me and crazy. I'm steady on the edge of it all. I'm steady on the edge of it all. That's all I got so far.
Very good.
That was good.
Thank you. And the chorus is gonna pick it up a little bit. Actually, I was talking with Taylor earlier. I think she's gonna try to help me finish it. Do a little songwriting with her. She's so good
Nice.
at guitar. Because it's like I have this melody when I'm writing. I usually get this melody in my head, and I have like 100 million voice memos of me just driving down the road singing melodies and lyrics into the phone. But then when I try to get my guitar in front, I'm like, how does the guitar go? I don't know. And she even told me, she was like, you just know basic chords, but your vocals are not basic. And so like, when I try to match whatever like note I'm singing with my voice, I kind of drag myself down with the guitar. So
Right.
learning and growing and getting better bit by bit.
Well, I've tried to learn to play guitar a few times, and that just learning how to just do basic chords is enough. And I can imagine staying on tune and then playing chords at the same time. You know, I'm not
I
talented enough to do that.
could play voice memos of me. My first song I learned was a Christmas song. It was not good.
Well,
And then I learned how to play Jolene when I was hiking the trail. That one was a little better. But when I was like learning chords, I was practicing a Christmas song. But yeah.
whatever.
Right.
Cool.
Let's see. Do you have a particular song you want to hear?
What's that one?
forgot.
What's one of those other ones you were talking about, Tom? That you
Oh,
like?
hit him with that Long Way Home.
All right.
Just a little
There's
bit
one
of that.
I wrote one this summer called Catch a Back Moon. Seems to be a crowd favorite. I haven't recorded it yet, but people like it when I play it live. I don't know our time frame or how many you want me to sing for you. This is a Long Way Home. I'll just do like a verse and a chorus. We'll stop spinning just past midnight. New town just for the night. Taking some time to be on my own. I'm not running, I'm feeding my soul. I'm taking the long way home. Not ready to settle this wandering soul. I'm taking the long way home. Taking a detour, taking some time to think. Oh, it's gonna be a wild trip. Taking a long way home.
Oh, that was good. I
That's
like
good.
that song.
I like that. Heck yeah, that's got a good vibe
Yeah,
to it.
I had a mentor once that told me that you really should be better by now. Like you should be doing better. And I was like, well, I guess I'm taking the long way there.
Yeah, right.
There's no, and I had a
That's funny.
grief counselor in Missouri that reminded me that there is no time frame on healing and grief. It takes as long as it takes.
I think
Yeah.
your voice, I know what you were talking about. Like you can sing really well and your voice carries. So it's hard probably to play and keep that, you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. I don't know shit about music, but I know enough that I could see it. Your voice can carry. Like you could hold notes really well. Maybe that
Mhm.
makes sense. And then
Yeah.
the playing that I'm with Matt. That Taylor better work miracles because I can't imagine doing everything all at once, moving your fingers and carrying the tune and the melody and the rhythm. I,
But
that
that's
was
where
And
done well.
engaging with the audience and
Yeah.
that's where
remembering
muscle
lyrics.
memory comes in, though, you guys. Like, I didn't think I could do it either. And I just finally said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to force myself. I practiced for hours and hours and hours every day for 3 months before I could play my first song. And I finally said, it's time, like, just practice. And you pick your favorite song that has like 3 chords. You learn those 3 chords. You just practice and practice and practice and practice. And it's really fucking annoying when you first start and you think you're never going to get it. And then one day something just clicks and it gets a little bit easier. And then you try something harder and it just gets really frustrating and frustrating. And then one day it clicks.
It's
And you
like
build that muscle
that's like
memory in your fingers. And then it's like you're thinking less about, the chords, and it kind of gives you that free space in your mind to sing.
yeah. That reminds me of boot camp and just sitting there during drill, and we're doing column left from the halt, and you did it like 50 times in a row. You know, you're like, can I get me done with this already? And that's how I was on the
Yeah.
guitar. I was like, how come I just can't get this?
Yeah.
So,
You just keep
oh well,
practicing.
persistence.
Yeah.
But I don't want to keep you on too long. I do appreciate you coming on and playing for us. That was amazing.
Thank
And
you.
that's just hearing it over, over this, you just picking up the guitar and kicking it. So that's a surefire talent right there.
Thank
And
you.
when Matt hooks you up with everyone he knows, just remember backstage. It's kind of like where
Yeah,
we like to hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
just kind of do that to me or something. Yeah.
When I'm my whole security team's gonna be Marines. All my friends.
Oh, okay. There we go.
So,
Well,
w-
I sent you a friend request on Facebook too, so you'll have my info.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, perfect.
w- where are you performing next if you have anything planned?
Yeah, so my next gig is at Crafty Bastard Brewing in Knoxville, Tennessee on October 20th, 7 p.m.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Crafty
I know
bastards.
I've got some friends out in Knoxville, so hopefully they'll be there. I did the Knoxville Silky Psych last year or the year before, I can't remember. So
ooh,
yeah.
but that was epic.
Well, I didn't do this. No, I didn't do the hike. I met the Silkies people. I sang for a fundraiser. But it
Hey,
was those.
Tom was talking about that the other day. He said, "Yeah, they got this silky hike coming up." He goes, "But bro, I'm not wearing silkies. I'm not down like that."
No, I didn't even
Oh
wear
Remember that?
Silkies
yeah,
when I was in the Marine Corps.
I
I
Oh,
sang
never.
round
yeah.
Mine were
I don't get down
cotton.
like that.
No.
Oh my goodness.
So where are you
Yeah,
heading
man.
after Knoxville?
Nashville, and then I'm also playing Tilted Mule in Columbia, Tennessee on the 29th, and then I'm visiting a Marine Corps buddy in Memphis for Halloween. And then probably back in Nashville. I was chatting with Scotty Hastings. He's gave me some of his contacts to try to get some gigs out there, but you know, we'll see what happens. They might be booked out. I just put my info out there. I texted him, so we'll see if I can get some more gigs. And then I'm heading down to Alabama. My mom and aunt are down there, so I'm working on some gigs in that area. And then I'm heading down into Florida, working on some gigs down there. So hopefully, I emailed a lot of people the last 2 weeks. So I'm hoping to start hearing back for some book.
All right.
Well, it looks like
We wish you
you
the
got a
best.
lot. Yeah, it looks like you got a long road ahead for the next couple months, or at least this month. It sounds like a lot.
I always got a long road ahead. I like it. I like driving.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
if
and
anyone's trying to
follow my
book you,
journey.
go ahead.
They can, if you want to follow my journey or you want to book, you can. I usually do Instagram, so Instagram or Facebook, but it's Barbara Sim Music.
Or they can go to your website.
I don't have a website, but I have a link tree that lists everything.
Nah, I got the barbarasimepk.com.
Oh yeah, that's my electronic press kit. That's just like a little video of a compilation video.
Not I had this the Spotify on it and everything.
Oh, that must be the Operation Encore page then. Okay.
I don't know. It came up. I was like, "Word, this has everything."
I'm like,
So
dang,
when
I
you
didn't
said
know that was out there.
what, I didn't want to interrupt, but when you said EPK earlier, I was like, I was going to ask you, like, what the hell does that mean? Well, you already dropped it, so it makes sense. So because it says on the bottom of that website, if they want to book you, they could go there and I guess send a message or request information to where you're going to be or whatever. So
Yeah.
where so you're just on the road, van life,
Mhm.
writing songs,
That's it. That's me. It's my life.
and you got big plans for 2024.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll be excited to follow along with your journey along me and Matt, and we'll see what shakes out. But I do appreciate you. We both appreciate you coming on and singing and sharing your journey and your story because like you said, you're going to be bouncing around, and the more you tell it, the more people that will hear it and be able to face the adversity that they went through off the strength through you and your music.
Absolutely.
So
That's
I
the goal.
appreciate that.
Thank you guys.
Well, Well, you're welcome, and that's been Every Second Counts with Matt and Tom.